Hello, everyone. Welcome. I'm Lindsay, a member of the CK-12 team, and my colleague Katie and I will be running today's webinar, CK-12 FlexBook 2.0 platform. We are so glad that you've all joined us today.
Today's webinar kicks off our June series for the CK-12 Certified Educator Program. Welcome back to those who have already started this program. If you are brand new to the Certified Educator Program and would like to learn more and officially register with us, you can visit ck12.org/certified and press the register button to get started.
We are on our last cycle of our current Certified Educator Program that includes these live webinars. So currently, to become certified, you'll watch 2 mandatory on-demand sessions. You'll then join us for our 3 core live webinar sessions, which you can attend at your convenience. And this session counts as one of those 3 live requirements. Next, you'll complete the accompanying assignments for all sessions. Lastly, you'll complete a final form to request your certification, and then you'll be CK-12 certified. Our program is being relaunched in August with new requirements. So if you are unable to attend all 3 live webinars these next few weeks, you may want to wait on those assignments and join our program in August officially. At the end of today's webinar, we can discuss more about the Certified Educator Program for any participants with questions, or you can type any questions into the Q&A window for Star, Katie, Tuscany to answer privately.
So before we get started, I do want to make sure that everyone's comfortable with Zoom, especially if you're new to that for this program. You'll see 2 different options on your Zoom screen. One is for Q&A and one is for chat. So if you have a question for the CK-12 team, we ask that you please use the Q&A window. This is so helpful for us because it helps us track which questions we've answered, which ones we still need to answer live or via text, and really gives us a chance to make sure that we address any concerns you have. The chat window, which is already up and running, which is great, is for you guys to talk to each other, share stories, connect, find out where people are coming from. But you do need to switch that to field to all panelists and attendees. We always get some people that send stuff just to us, and it's great to hear from you, but everyone else is missing out on your message unless you update that. So make sure you make that change if you do want that message to go to everyone.
Okay, and we are recording today's webinar, and it will be on our site at ck12.org/webinars within 24 hours. So if this moves too quickly for you, where you're going to have to go back and do some review, just know that there will be a recording available for you. All right, but let's talk about what we're covering today. Today's session will cover the following topics: navigating CK-12 to find FlexBooks and related content. From signing in to searching for books and resources, we'll make sure you're comfortable exploring CK-12. CK-12's FlexBook 2.0 platform. This robust platform unifies CK-12 resources and delivers lessons in an interactive and engaging format. Next, we'll talk about CK-12's adaptive practice system. Our intelligent system adapts to students by challenging them with harder questions or recommending resources. And lastly, we'll talk about assignments and reports. Assign a FlexBook 2.0 lesson or related modalities, and see student and class level reports.
So I do want to mention before Lindsay goes live on our site that we have 2 resource pages you might find handy for this session. The first will help you get started with FlexBooks and the 2.0 platform, and you can access it via the tiny URL CK-12 FlexBooks 2019. That has been for the 2019-2020 school year. So we're just wrapping it up with this set of resource pages before we relaunch our new program. And the second one is more about practice and assignments. So that is at tinyurl.com, CK-12 Practice 2019. We'll post those in the chat window, and there's direct links in the FlexBook that goes with this program for those particular resources.
Awesome. Okay, I'm going to jump straight into a live demo of how to start navigating CK-12. So let me take the screen over from Katie, and you should be seeing my window here. So let me just review some CK-12 kind of basics. You will see that I am logged into an account here, and I am logged in as a teacher. So I'm seeing this option to switch to a student version because I am currently on the teacher view for this page. Now, something probably a lot of you already know is that CK-12 is completely free. Absolutely everything we offer is at no charge. There isn't a premium version. There's no advertising. There's no paywall. There's no gimmicks to it. We're free during coronavirus and forever. So we are absolutely free. We do ask, though, that at some point you sign in. You create your account or you sign in. That way our platform can do all the intelligent things it's capable of doing, kind of tracking your progress and making recommendations. So you will want to sign up or sign in if you haven't already. And like I said, we have a teacher version where we're advertising our summer FlexLits and it asks, what do you want to teach today? The student version is very similar. We don't differentiate a ton from the teacher site and the student site. We just present things a little differently. So here we have the search bar front and center because, you know, students are always wanting to use that search bar. We ask them if they have a class code, and then we present their subjects a little bit differently from how we do it for the teachers. I'm going to switch back to the teacher version today because I'm assuming most of you are going to be signed in as a teacher. And one of the first options I want to show you is that I really like this Explore option in our menu. So when you click on Explore, you're going to see all of the things that CK-12 has to offer. Like I said, we're a very robust platform, and you're going to find FlexBooks, you're going to see study guides, adaptive practice, simulations, PLIX. A lot of these things I'm going to mention today, and then some of these are going to be discussed in more detail in our future webinar sessions on teaching strategies and on customizing FlexBooks and adaptive practice. But know that the Explore menu is a great way to navigate the site to find things you're looking for. Like if you're looking for Common Core standards or NGSS alignment, I've been talking about the webinars page, certified educator program, all of those can be found under this Explore menu. Okay, this is also one great place to go to look for FlexBooks. So our FlexBook 2.0 platform, if you click on FlexBook 2.0, we're going to explain a little bit about what's exciting about 2.0, and I'm going to show you all of this today. And if you scroll down, you can find our 2.0 FlexBooks that we're currently offering for math and for science. And then we have some 2.0 books for social studies that have been contributed from partner districts. I believe these are all from El Paso Independent School District. Okay, so that's one place to go. Let me come back up here. I'm going to press the CK-12 logo to go back to the home page. So I went to Explore and looked at 2.0 FlexBooks. Know that we do still have a bunch of FlexBooks that are on other subjects and presented a little bit differently. They aren't on our new 2.0 platform, but you can come here and you can also search for other books if you would like as well. Okay, I'm going to go back out again to the home page. A great place to look is if I just scroll down here and I'm presented with what do you want to teach today. You'll notice that we have math by level and math by subject. We have science, and then we have some other content in the areas of English, social studies, colleges, where we've got college content, country-specific content, and translated content. So the bulk of what I'm going to show you today, the bulk of CK-12's resources are in middle and high school math and science. We do have some math practice at the lower grade levels, and we do have some science readers at the lower levels. And while we offer a few books in writing and spelling, we don't have a ton of language arts content. So most of our content is going to be middle, high school math and science. I also want to draw your attention to the search bar up here. You can come up and you can think of something that you're going to be teaching, a certain concept. I'm going to type in the water cycle, and you'll notice that it starts to populate my search options, and I can search within a certain branch of science, or I can search all of CK-12. Let me just go ahead into all of CK-12. You can see that I'm on the CK-12 content tab. I have different filter options over to the left. So I could decide that, hey, I want to see a video that includes the water cycle. Looks like we've got tons of those. I could start filtering this content. I can find reads, videos, PLIX, different activities. Anytime you see a concept page though, if I click on the water cycle concept page, it's going to show me all the different modalities that we have for the water cycle. So here's a couple of reads, lessons on the water cycle. We've got a PLIX, video, activities, study guide, lesson plan, adaptive practice, real world applications. So that's a place that you can search for content. Just type in something that you're going to be teaching, a bite-sized concept, and you'll be able to explore some content. A couple other things is that we do have this help option. If you are needing some assistance, if I show you something today and you're trying to remember how to do that, how do I search for something? How does adaptive practice work? You can come over to probably teachers and parents and use our support center and find some help that you need there. Let me stop for just a second, Katie. And is there anything that we need to address in the Q&A window right now before we keep going?
Yeah, we have, as always, questions about learning management systems. So if you are wanting to use CK-12 and use Google Classroom, Canvas, or Schoology, we are fully integrated with those platforms. So for Google Classroom, you can just use the standard assign feature that Lindsay's going to talk about later in this webinar. She'll be talking about that piece. And if you're using Canvas and Schoology, you connect it on the back end. But Lindsay, just click to our webinars page. If you scroll down, there's 2 webinars, one on Google Classroom and one on Canvas and Schoology that cover all of those materials. But that is something that we have available and it's already integrated. So you don't need to set up separate classes. You don't need to do anything. You're good to go there. We had some people saying they weren't sure if they were set up as a teacher or a student. So maybe you could click on their name there and click on settings. And if you click there and then scroll down to the profile, not just your profile name, but the actual profile slightly further down. And there we go. Click change profile right there. You can see if you click on that, it should list you as a teacher or a student. So you are going to want to make sure that you're logged in as a teacher so that you can assign content and see reports. Otherwise, you won't actually be able to go from there. And then we have some questions about what a PLIX is.
Oh, a lot of people ask that, actually.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not sure that I was going to do this as part of the demo, but why don't I just show real quickly? Let me go to the Explore menu, since we piqued everybody's curiosity. There's the PLIX Browse page right here, and PLIX stands for Play, Learn, Interact, Explore. And these are interactives by different branches. So let's say I'm teaching life science, and you can see what concepts are happening here. We'll just click on this first one. Actually, I clicked on the concept. Let's click on the PLIX. PLIX are just bite-sized interactives. It has something that the students need to do over here. Here it's connecting. Other interactives work a little bit differently, and then it's followed by challenge me questions. So there's usually somewhere between 5 to 7 challenge me questions that are multiple choice, true, false, drag, drop, that students can use for kind of experiential learning. Not cutthroat assessment. I see this a lot for bell ringers in classrooms, review activities. If students are working on a PLIX and they need to learn more, they're able to click right into the concept and go ahead and do some further reading before they continue their exploration. About 1,200 of these live on our site. So if you have not had a chance to, I would suggest Explore and PLIX and see if we've got some PLIX that will help you out.
Great. So Lindsay, I'm going to go ahead and steal the screen back from you for a bit, or borrow it back, as I answer one last question about the difference between PLIX and our other interactives. So PLIX are kind of quick interactives with those questions that Lindsay was showing. We have built-in interactives that don't have questions. It's not the full PLIX interactive. So you'll see kind of even smaller, just little quick interactions within a FlexBook. And then we have full simulations, which I always consider more systems-based or kind of microscopic level for some chemistry pieces that you can see. So those are our different types of interactives. The embedded ones are PLIX and our simulations. So with that, we're going to talk about FlexBooks now. So our FlexBooks 2.0 platform, we've really kind of changed the way that we do FlexBooks over the last 12 years. We had our initial FlexBooks and we've moved into our newest platform. So we use the word platform now because what we offer is so much more than just that original textbook option. It uses the power of artificial intelligence and machine learning, and it enables a student's personalized journey. So each of the lessons here can be a powerful mix of content, including, you can see some of those interactives we were just talking about, plus adaptive practice, videos, and so much more. Some lessons even offer inline questions that check for understanding as the student works their way through the lesson and gives them feedback so they understand what they got wrong and how they need to continue to learn from there. So this personalized learning system adapts to the needs and the skills of each and every student as they go.
Like Katie just said, a FlexBook is not your ordinary textbook. These books are tightly integrated with clear, focused, and engaging interactives. You can find user-contributed books on almost any subject imaginable on our site, but I do want to highlight a few features of our core offerings in that middle and high school math and science subject areas. For our math teachers, we have both student editions and teacher edition books specifically designed for the Common Core that incorporate the latest in educational technology. These books include multimodal integrated resources to support the experiential Socratic spirit of the Common Core. The instructive text and images offer formative assessment with immediate feedback. We help answer that age-old student question, when will I ever use this, by grounding our questions and interactives in the real world. Now, CK-12's interactive science FlexBooks are brimming with real-world applications. Students explore bigger thinking questions like, why do trips to Mars only happen during certain launch windows? How efficient is a wind turbine? Or why do diamonds sparkle? All of our FlexBooks can include embedded videos that you have either created or curated. You have the ability to add inline questions in your books for students to get immediate feedback. And both our simulations and our PLIX can be embedded right in any lesson. Lessons in the FlexBook 2.0 platform can have either attached adaptive practice or a customized quiz, and we're going to talk a lot about adaptive practice here in a few minutes. One thing that you can't do with a printed textbook is instantly change the text to a different language, and at the bottom of our site, you'll see a Google Translate box that allows you to change the text and menu options for a lesson to dozens of languages. The toolbar for our FlexBook 2.0 platform has a section for notes and highlighting. When moving from printed text to digital text, students need the ability to highlight and annotate. These are two things that they can still do on CK-12. Any notes and highlights stay in the individual student's account so that they can refer to them at any time. And then perhaps one of the most exciting things about a FlexBook is your ability to customize and localize content for your region and your students. Customizing a book can be as easy as spending a few minutes changing a title and rearranging the scope and sequence, or it can be as involved as working with other teachers to systematically update a book to reflect your standards and represent your community. So customizing is a topic that is covered thoroughly in the second webinar in the series on customizing CK-12 FlexBooks and adaptive practice. So I'm hoping that a lot of you will be signed up to join us for next week when we're going to go do a deep dive into what it looks like to customize a book. But I do want you to know that you have the ability to use any of our content as is, or you can click customize to adapt the content. And you can even combine content from different books or create your own book from scratch if you like. So let me go back live to our site and show you all of this in real time. Let me share my browser. We go back here to our CK-12 homepage. Okay, lots of different ways that I could get to our content. I'm just going to scroll down here to what do you want to teach today. and I'm gonna jump into a physical science book. So when I select physical science from that menu, it has taken me right into a FlexBook 2.0. This is what our new FlexBook 2.0 environment looks like. I can see the title of the book. I can see the author. There's some information about standards that I could click on. And then if I'm signed in as a teacher, I have options to add it to my library. It's already in my library. That's why that's grayed out. I could customize this book. I could add it to a different 2.0 book, or I could simply share it with my class. Here in the overview, these are all of my chapters that I have. I can expand any of these chapters and see the individual lessons within them. I'm going to jump down to a chapter that's in, or a section that's in visible light. We're going to go to a lesson on light and color. Okay. When I select light and color, I am taken to what we call the start page. This is what students will see when they go to start a lesson. Notice that we present students with other ways to learn. So they're going to be taken to this FlexBook 2.0 lesson that has attached adaptive practice, but our team has also curated by hand related resources that we think really teach the concept of light and color. And we've coded them here. So this is a real world application. This is a PLIX, a simulation, and a video. So students could always access other resources to, to review or even to get ahead on different topics. Once the lesson is started, this is going to be a fairly typical FlexBook 2.0 lesson where you see that this is 19.4 on light and color. And I'm just going to do a quick scroll down to give you an idea of what a lesson looks like. You're going to see that we have some images and we have some figures. We also have some concepts that are here where if I clicked on that, it would take me to information on wavelength. If I scroll down, you can see that there is a PLIX here that I could launch. I'm going to keep scrolling down. We've got videos that have been curated. Again, these looks like TED Ed videos. I'm going to keep scrolling down. There's another video. This is one of our simulations on how we perceive color. And I'm going to keep scrolling down and you can see that there's a summary. There are review questions. And that's the bottom of the lesson. While I'm hanging out down here, let me show you what it looks like to change a lesson into another language. So I can select a variety of languages. I know that Spanish is a popular one, so let me go ahead and translate this into Spanish. With just one click of the Google Translate, notice that our menu options, the text of the lesson, it has all been changed into Spanish. Okay. So this is exciting if you have students who are not native English speakers and maybe they're speaking a language that you're not familiar with, don't have materials, you're able to instantly change our content if you would like. Let me do a slow scroll back up here. We talked about PLIX earlier, but let me show you what a simulation looks like. So this is just embedded right into the lesson. And if I launch this simulation, you can see that there's this question at the beginning on how do we perceive color. And I could play the little intro video here that's going to talk through some different situations about color. I'm going to, just for the sake of time, move forward here. And our simulations, they have a sandbox area where I manipulate different variables to see different results. So I could decide, okay, what happens if my light color is orange, the car color is spring green, and my glasses are different colors. And you can see what's happening here with the different glasses. I can also show some different elements. And if I continued through this simulation, I would be presented with some questions and even some extension activities at the end. What's really cool about our simulations, though, is that our FlexBook 2.0 is that if I collapse this window when I'm finished interacting with the simulation, I am right back in my lesson where I was before. So I haven't lost any time in my lesson. I'm just right back here in this window. I could scroll up again, play these videos, scroll up some more. This was one of those PLIX that I showed you earlier that would again just launch right here in that window. And I'm back up toward the top. Over here, this is where you get your highlighter and your note-taking tool. So I'm gonna go ahead and this looks important. I'm gonna highlight that information there. I can click and I could change the color. I've been in classrooms where they have a color coding system of let's use green for supporting details and purple for topic sentences. You could use these purposefully with your students. You can also end up creating some notes. So if I wanted to make a note here, this is my note, and I could save these. Okay, up here in the right-hand side, I've got a toolbar menu, and I want to just talk you through this a little bit because sometimes people overlook some of the great things that are in this toolbar. If you have assigned this lesson to your students, which we'll talk more about here in a little bit, you could view some insights on how your students performed on that attached adaptive practice or that attached quiz. Related content, this is where you'll find those related modalities that were on that start page. And I could click into any of these and I could assign these individually as well to my students. Or again, just know that they're attached there. So if your students, finish the lesson and raise their hand and say, hey, what do I do next? You've got some options over here with the related content of where they could go next. Notes and highlighting, this is where I see this is my notes. I see that I've highlighted this in purple. Again, those just stay in my individual account that I can access at any time. If you as a teacher need to attach a PDF or a JPEG or some type of file, you can add resources to a lesson if you would like. These action items, again, we're going to talk about in a little bit about assigning to a class or sharing. And then I even have options to change like the display settings, for instance, if I wanted the dark background screen, if I needed line spacing, if I needed to increase the font. These are all things that I could do within my my toolbar options there. I think that's what I want to show you about FlexBooks right now. So Katie, why don't we check in on questions again and see how we're doing?
Sure. We have a couple kind of bigger questions. Let's see if we can address. The first one is there a way to do group work virtually or CK-12 is only individualized? And so I would say both. You kind of have to get a little creative. In general, if you're not working within a classroom, you'd probably have students, you'd assign individual lessons to students and have them do that work individually. But at the same time, if you were doing like a live stream of a class, you could put something up on your screen and have students work through it together, or have them kind of collaborate and one person takes notes and the other person does some questions, or, you could kind of think about different ways that you could do that. I've definitely seen within an actual classroom when teachers were in a class where they projected stuff on a board and had multiple students go up and work through problems together or do different things like that. So those are some options.
It looks like a couple of people asked about the annotations and notes. Can teachers view them? No, not right now. These annotations and notes stay in that individual student's account. So I've heard of teachers walking around the room and monitoring, kind of clipboard style with check marks, or you can have your students take a screenshot and maybe turn in the screenshot of their highlights and notes, but those don't naturally go to the teacher. Another question that I'm seeing here is about text-to-speech capabilities. And we don't have anything built into our system that does text-to-speech. Our platform is optimized for the Chrome browser. Really, we work across any browser. We're going to work across any device as well. We're platform agnostic in that way. But if you have a Chrome browser, there are third-party extensions that read text to you. Those should work with CK-12. If they work, if you've got your favorite one that you've been using in your situation, it should be able to read our text as well.
Great. Maybe we'll answer one or two more and then we'll kind of keep moving forward. We asked about sharing a book. Can teachers share the same book but not classes?
I'm wondering what you mean necessarily by sharing, but all of our resources have a URL to it. So anybody could be using this book and I could take this lesson and I could just copy the URL and I could share it. When we were talking about customizing earlier, of sometimes teachers collaborate on making edits to a book and doing some customizations of rearranging that scope and sequence. And our platform isn't really built for collaboration in that way, but there are kind of workarounds of how you and another teacher could share the same book. But if you edited one together and you decided, hey, this is our physical science book for middle school for my teacher, and you want to use it with everybody in your grade level, that's certainly an option that you can do. You would just, again, take the URL to your book and use it across multiple teachers.
Great. And then maybe one last question. How do you know what's a PLIX versus a simulation when you're in a lesson?
Well, you just know. When you scroll down, they both have this launch window. So let's see. This is a little bit of a bigger launch window. It embeds a little bit differently. But when I launch this, again, it immediately tells you that this is a PLIX versus our simulation. And here, like I said, you've got the simple movement of it showing how the light goes through the prism, and then it's going to have some challenge me questions. And just like the simulation, if I close out of it, it's going to be down here. I'm right back into my lesson. And then you can tell in related content too, we code these. So real world application has the little globe sign or the globe symbol. And then our PLIX is this brain. So here are two PLIX, and then our simulation, that rose colored glasses one that I showed you is right here. So we also label them for you in the related content.
Great. And I know I said that was the last question, but you're right in that toolbar. So someone asked about adjusting the text size and line spacing. Can you show them where the display thing is while you're right there?
Yeah, just the display option down here at the bottom, and we give you the option to increase the text. We can change the background color. We can even change the line spacing as well.
Great.
And I'll kind of move this back before it gets out of hand for my presentation.
Okay. So I think with that, we're going to move forward. We have a poll that we want to just kind of see how you guys are feeling at this point in time. So maybe we'll get that up and running, and you guys can tell us, based on this, how comfortable are you with finding a FlexBook and the related resources, just like the ones Lindsay was just showing you? So super comfortable. This is something that you've done before. You do it all the time. Very comfortable based on this or your experience. You think you could find these? Comfortable, you probably could figure it out, or not comfortable where we still need to go through more, either at the end of this webinar or working with you beyond that. So let us know. Go ahead and put in an answer for that. Let's see how we're doing and what else we need to cover before we move into adaptive practice.
Hopefully people are starting to get the hang of it. Again, we've got a ton of resources, but once you kind of get the hang of that explore menu and our search bar and filters, you might be able to find what you're looking for.
Okay. Well, if you've answered, great. We're going to wrap up this poll. If you haven't had a chance because you're trying to ask a question or do something else, no worries. But let's go ahead and wrap that up and share those results. And it sounds like we got a little bit of variety. Some people are probably brand new to CK-12 and are saying this is a ton of information. Check out that resource page, come back and rewatch this, work your way through our FlexBook if you're in the Certified Educator program. And at least a majority of you guys seem like you have a good sense of maybe where to go or start to go to explore. So I think with that, we're going to go ahead and move forward with adaptive practice. So let's go ahead and pull that up.
Awesome, awesome. So all of our FlexBook 2.0 lessons have attached adaptive practice attached to it. We have over 150,000 questions covering math, science, and spelling. So our math, science, and spelling FlexBooks 2.0, you're going to see attached adaptive practice. Our questions are offered at 3 levels, and they adapt to student performance. And then our system also offers content when students struggle. Our adaptive practice is customizable into quizzes. And like I said, that's the topic of next week's webinar on customizing CK-12 and adaptive practice. And I'm going to show you several ways to access adaptive practice depending on if you're assigning a FlexBook 2.0 lesson or if you're just wanting the standalone modality. But before we do that, let's talk about just the overview of how it works. So here's the basics to our adaptive practice system. Our system is set up to challenge students to answer 10 questions correctly. Students will see this at the top of their practice. Get in the game, get 10 answers to complete your practice goal. Our system meets students where they are with 3 levels of questions: easy, medium, and hard. The system will match the student's level and will gradually increase or decrease difficulty depending on how students are performing. This means a student who is struggling may hit the goal of 10 correct with mostly easy questions, and a student who is more advanced would have more of a mix of levels. For teachers, this ensures that each student is progressively and appropriately challenged while maintaining a clear record of each student's level of understanding. Having questions that adapt to students' needs is awesome, but CK-12 takes it to the next level by making content recommendations in the moment. If a student is struggling, CK-12 will intervene by recommending helpful resources like reads and videos. This is really the magic to the system. If you're teaching 5 classes a day with 30 students in each class, you know, if you're in a classroom, it's difficult for you to walk around and differentiate for all students in the moment, but our system does the heavy lifting for you and ensures that students are being appropriately challenged and supported. All right, let's take a look at a sample practice screen. This is for adding and subtracting money, and we have a very fancy hot dog there that's $8.65 and some expensive French fries. Maybe we're at the ballpark. But this is what adaptive practice looks like. And so let me just walk you through here. At the top, you'll see a progress bar that's going to display the number of questions answered correctly. You can see that our system has already set the goal of getting 10 correct. This is a system requirement. It cannot be changed by the teacher or student. Everybody is trying to get 10 correct. You next see the skill level meter that will increase or decrease based on the student's correct and incorrect answers. We have all different types of questions. We have multiple choice, true, false, fill in the blank, highlight, select all that apply, and you even see images in some questions. Our hints are available at the bottom left during practice for most of our concepts. Sometimes the hints appear as text and sometimes in a short video. And I believe that we just changed, you see the number 4 down there. I think our hints is now coming in a slightly different way that I'll show you when we go live. We also have a scratch pad that's available for students if they need to use their mouse or stylus or fingers to write on the screen to solve a problem. And then we've got an improve this question option that gives users a chance to report any issue they might see with a question or answer. They can report that to the CK-12 staff. All right, when a student presses stop now on an adaptive practice, they'll see a report that can look like this. If you are a teacher who has assigned this practice to your students, you will have access to the same report when an assignment is turned in. You can see if the student met the goal of getting 10 correct, which would be 100%. So here you see that only 7 questions were completed and submitted. Other information includes the best streak and time spent. An extremely helpful indicator of a student's understanding of a concept is the skill meter, which shows student progress from beginning to mastery. If you want more information about the skill meter, you can click on the info icon or press learn more in the pop-up box to get a help desk article. One other thing you see on the screen is that we have recommendations for how to continue exploring this concept. For instance, our intelligent system says that students who watch this video score an 87% or higher on the practice. If you were able to keep scrolling down this report, you'd see each question, its easy, medium, hard label, and the exact answer the students typed or selected. After viewing this report, students always have the option to keep practicing. They can start and stop at any time, and they can even continue beyond the 10 correct. All right, I'm gonna take the screen back and we're gonna see this live on the site. Let me share my screen. And there's several different ways to get to adaptive practice. Let's start by, we're gonna scroll down here and we're gonna go into one of our math books. Let's go into the Middle School Math 8 book. So I'm taken into our FlexBook here, FlexBook 2.0 platform. And we're gonna go, let's try 2.5, defining similarity. And I'm once again taken to my start page, and here I am in a math lesson, okay? So this looks kind of like our science lessons with some figures, some images, some try it interactive. Scroll down, here at the bottom, you see that there's the view practice button. So when I view practice, I'm signed in as a teacher, so it's just gonna let me preview this, but let's see what this looks like. Here I have some triangles and it's asking me some questions, and I'm just going to select the top answer, and it gives me some positive messages saying that, hey, great, I got it for the corresponding sides. You can see that my skill level is to be determined because I haven't answered enough questions yet for CK-12 to start gauging that. I'm gonna go ahead and check this one. Awesome, so I'm 2 for 10 so far. I've answered 2 correct. Let me check this answer. I'm nailing it, I got 3 in a row. I think I'm gonna miss an answer. Notice that we've given an explanation for why that answer isn't correct, and I've got the option to try again. I told you we recently revamped our hints, so now it's showing up down here in the corner with our little, I don't know what we call him, Katie, what do we call him, Toasty? Our Toasty guy, where if I need a hint, I can select hint, and it gives me a hint, scale factors, number that multiplies or scales a given quantity. I could also go on to the next hint. Okay, so again, this is a practice system. We're hoping that students will read why they missed an answer, that they will look at the hints, that they will try again. If I still miss it, I'm going to move on to the next question. Remember that there is a scratch pad here if I need to do any drawings or anything with the scratch pad. Right now it thinks I've answered 3 questions and I've missed one, so I'm still just developing, and I can come over here and again I can see what the different skill level meters mean. I'm going to go ahead and just stop this adaptive practice for now, and students would see a report. Again, I'm signed in as a teacher, so I just see the option to preview. Let me show you something here. I'm going to use the table of contents over on the left to navigate. And let's go to 2.2. And I think this is a lesson where I had already done some practice. So here I'm going to view a report. And it shows me that I have done 3 questions correct on my practice goal of getting 10 correct for 100%. It shows me when I last practiced, which was about an hour and a half ago when I was seeing where I had some practice. I answered 3 of 14 questions correct. So I'm at the very beginning skill level meter of I have not been doing well, spent 6 minutes on it. And this is a report that, again, you as a teacher would see if you assign this to your students. You can see exactly what the student typed in as the answers and what they got correct and what they missed. So I would definitely want to keep practicing. Again, students have the option to keep practicing. They could do some before dinner, after dinner, in the morning. And then when they're ready to turn this in, they'll be pressing a turn in button to submit their practice. Okay, so that's from a 2.0 lesson. And I want to show you one more place to access adaptive practice. So let me go back out to the home page. Again, our adaptive practice for FlexBook 2.0 is just going to live down here. If I go back out to our home page and I use this Explore menu, I can go to adaptive practice. And this is just an adaptive practice browse page. So if I know that I am teaching physics, I can go to physics, and here I can look at all of the different options that we have for physics. And it's just a different way to browse practice. And I could select friction. And here I am on that start page, where again, it gives an estimated time of how long we think it's going to take students to complete it. Notice that here's a place to assign to class. Here's a customize. And then for our adaptive practice, you can also download a worksheet. It won't be adaptive anymore. It'll be static because you downloaded it, but that is an option to download the worksheet. Okay, Katie, let's do some more Q&A.
Great. So we have a question about answers. So two different people asked this. They said, what if their answer is not the same as what's in the program, but still is a right answer? Is there a way to override this scoring? And so that scoring isn't automatically overridden. There's no way to kind of adjust it if you're using CK-12 classes. You could change it if you were using an LMS and adjust their overall score. But that great little improve this question piece, if you think that that is incorrect, just let us know and we can update our system so that that alternate right answer would also be included. So that's one of our questions. And then we had a question about, are we able to view the students' time spent on videos or activities? We have kind of a bunch of different questions about their reports.
Ooh, that's what we're going to be talking about next.
Probably hold off on the report questions because Lindsay's going to go through that. So we have one other non-report question that says, how can we be sure that we're using content developed by CK-12 versus content written or edited by others when working on a FlexBook? So maybe you could just kind of answer that one question, then we'll go into reports and assignments.
Yeah, let me go on our homepage here. I've been showing you books where, like our grade 8 book, they say that they're written by CK-12. I know that our social studies content has been contributed by El Paso Independent School District, and we thought that it was quality content that should be surfaced for more users to find it. So you can see the by here, by EPISD instead of by CK-12. So I know that this book was written by somebody else. Okay, in our Explore menu, we have a schools page, which will specifically navigate you to other schools. It thinks I'm in Texas, and so it'll geotag you, and I can see books that these schools or districts have elected to put on our site. And we've got a strong partnership with El Paso Independent School District. So again, I could look at all of the books they have to offer here. These books I can customize the same way that I would customize a CK-12 book. One other thing is, earlier I searched for the water cycle and searched in all of CK-12, and I told you I was on the CK-12 content tab. Notice we have a community contributed tab. If I swap over to this community contributed tab, now I'm viewing materials that were created by or adapted by different authors, and it tells me who the author is. So if you're looking for language arts curriculum, let's say I'm going to search something like literature, CK-12 is not going to have a whole lot, but if I go over to community contributed, I can find books that have been created on our sites and put into community contributed. So hopefully that gave them a little taste of that, Katie.
Great, thanks. So I think with that, let's get into those reports, and maybe our initial comment about assignments and reports answers all of these pieces. So I'm going to go ahead and share the screen. And we can talk about related content.
Yeah, we know, I mean, you guys are all still exploring CK-12 and getting a feel for the different resources that we have. But what you see on the screen is what we consider to be our assignable core modalities, or different ways to learn. So you can assign a read, a video, a PLIX, a simulation, adaptive practice, or real-world application. And while all of these resources have a unique URL that you can always copy and paste to share with others, or use the green SharePlane to share, assigning a modality generates a report for teachers and students to view.
So now if you guys are already using a Google Classroom, Canvas, or Schoology within your school or district, CK-12 easily integrates with these platforms. So for Canvas and Schoology, what you would do is you create assignments from within that platform using the external tool option for Canvas or under Add Materials in the CK-12 app for Schoology. And then for Google Classrooms, you can assign directly from CK-12 and see all of the reports there. So CK-12 classes, the reason you would use that is if you're not already using one of the other ones, you don't need to double up. It actually gets really confusing and complicated, and we highly recommend that you stick with one or the other. And Lindsay showed you earlier in this webinar, down at the bottom of the webinars page, we do have sessions specifically targeted for Google Classroom or Canvas and Schoology that can kind of help you dive into those a bit more. The other thing I want to talk about is sharing versus assigning. So someone asked if I share a link or assign, will I see those reports in, let's say, Google Classroom, for example? If you do one but not the other, that will work. So I want to make sure that that is clear. So for example, this is a 2.0 FlexBook lesson on continental drift, and you see assign to class, share, and share to class. So if I click assign to class, and then I can click CK-12 or Google Classroom, and I assign it in that pop-up, and that will create an assignment so that when students do that work and turn it in, the grade will be passed back, and you can see their student reports. If you click share, and then you click on Google Classroom, you are just sharing that link. You're sharing a page, there's no assignment, there's no grade passed back, there's nothing. So make sure if you're looking for assignments that you actually click assign and that you do the same assignment workflow through Canvas and Schoology. The last option, share to class, is specific to CK-12 classes. So if you are using CK-12 classes, it would pull those up and allow you to see what that looked like. And then you could pick the class to share it to. And that's a good option for maybe sharing the whole link to the FlexBook. So students have one resource they can go back in and out of, but then make sure you assign the individual units. So the other option is you can always share the URL at the top of a lesson and copy and paste that to share with others. Or even the green little share plane would get you that same share this resource menu in the middle. But you do definitely want to assign that modality if you want a report.
Thank you for explaining that, Katie. You just showed how to assign a lesson from a FlexBook 2.0, but I want to show everyone how they can assign individual modalities as well, such as our PLIX and our simulations, videos, and real-world applications, separate from a FlexBook. And one option is to use the search bar that I've been showing you. Here I search for continental drift. You can click on that top concept page, or you can use our filter options to see a certain type of modality. Another way to find individual modalities is to use the options at the bottom of the home page or in the Explore menu at the top of any page, and these can take you to our specific browse pages for PLIX and simulations and adaptive practice. So I want to show you real quickly how to find the assign button for our interactives. For both our PLIX and our simulations, you will find the orange button in the top menu bar. If you are looking to assign a standalone read, a video, or a real-world application, you can do so on the left menu, like this read on angles, or this video on earthquakes, or this real-world application called Keep Your Spit to Yourself. These are all assigned the same way, and they all report the same way. Okay, I'm going back live to the site. And I've got a few more things to show you before we wrap up this webinar. I do want to show you, I'm going to use a CK-12 class. Again, we know that many of you will be using Google Classroom or Schoology or Canvas, but I'm going to show you a report that is pretty universal. So let me go down to just kind of a demo CK-12 class called Winter 2020. And if you're using a CK-12 class, this is what it looks like. Or if you're in our certified educator program, you're experiencing something that looks like this. I can view what's been assigned to my students. Again, we just kind of fake populated some things back in the winter. But here's the report that I want to show you. When I select reports, I can see my students on the left and all of my assignments up here, what they were: a simulation, a 2.0 with practice, a video. Over here, Green is good on my heat map. I can see check marks for the modalities that are completion of, we can tell you if a student opened a video, if they interacted with a simulation, if they answered a PLIX question. The real scores happen for a quiz. This is going to be a true percentage of how many I got correct. And our practice is that score out of how many they got correct out of that goal of 10. Okay. If I select any of these cells, I can view the report. This is me practicing. So I got 7 out of 8 correct. Four times 4 in a row was my streak, and I spent 45 seconds on it. And again, you can scroll down and you can see what the student missed and what the student got correct. I can close out of this. This little clock means that the student turned it in late. So Katie turned this in 2 days and 17 hours late. So I get a little clock notification to say that she turned it in late. Again, I can view reports in different ways. If I want to see how, let's see how Carl did on this practice. Carl got 12 out of 13 questions correct. Couple easy, was mainly in the medium range, and then some hard. If I wanted to get really granular and see what he missed, I could scroll down and I could find the answer. So our reports, I'm in a CK-12 class, but if you are in a Google Classroom or Canvas, you have the same access to the same heat map of group reports. It's coming soon for Schoology. Katie, I'm going to let you share a screen real quick and talk to them about what we're offering in the way of insights.
Sure. So we have some different pieces about insights. So the first thing here you'll see, and this is specific to our 2.0 FlexBook lessons. So you want to make sure that you are assigning lessons from 2.0 if you actually want to be able to access insights. So in this case, I opened up a lesson that I assigned on metals, and I clicked on Katie that turned this in. You can see the time she spent on that lesson, even where that time was spent. So you'll see that graph on the side, as well as her practice skill level, and in this case, it's mastery. Now, if I clicked on Ryan, you can see he spent more time. If I scroll down, I'd see where that happened and that skill level. And we just are launching engagement as well, so you may start seeing that. And that has a percentage score based on the number of ways students can interact. Is there a PLIX embedded? Is there an interactive embedded? Are there inline questions or a video to watch? So you'll start seeing that up next to the exploring piece as well as that goes live and kids do more work. The other thing you might see is kind of a flashing, I think it's a green dot now, next to particular paragraphs or different pieces. If you click on that when you're on a student, you'll see that we recommend that that particular student reviews this paragraph or bulleted list because they missed a question that's related to that. So in this case, it talks about the majority of metals are capable of being stretched. If I go back for a second, you can see that the 4th bullet point down there talks about how metals are ductile and they can be pulled and stretched. And so the student would see that if they were looking in their FlexBook, and then you get an indication of where we're kind of pointing out paragraphs or lists to students as they go. So I think what we're going to do is I'm going to do a little bit of wrap up for the next minute or two, talk to you guys, and then we're going to go back in and answer any remaining questions that we have. But anyone that's all set is welcome to sign off after that point. So we are going to talk about upcoming webinars. So the first, this is the first webinar in our Certified Educator Program series. It's being offered again tomorrow. And then there's 2 more webinars in that series. So next Tuesday and Wednesday, if you can make next Tuesday, great, same time, same place, with a different link to join in once you register. And if not, then we do give you the option to join 2 hours later on Wednesday. And then the same thing for the week after for the strategies session. So those are the big ones that are coming up. That is what we have live. We will continue with live webinars even in August and through the fall, but they just won't be required for the Certified Educator Program and they won't be the same topics. So if you do want to wrap it up, make sure you join us for the next couple weeks and wrap up that particular piece. If you haven't registered for the Certified Educator Program, you are 1/3 of the way through live webinars right now. So go ahead and click on that register button if you are able to finish the program this month. If not, just hold off till August and we will launch that newer program with new assignments and the ability to kind of complete it all at that particular point in time. We love feedback that helps us adjust. That's one of the reasons why we're moving to an automated program to address time zones and everything else like that. So feel free to give us any feedback using this tiny URL for CK-12 feedback 1920 for that school year. And go ahead and let us know what we're doing well and how we can improve. So with that, you can email us at support or jumpstart@ck12.org at any time with any questions. We'll help you through stuff. We'll sort things out. Please tell your social networks about CK-12 and your participation in this program. If people missed it now, they can always join in August, and that is not a problem. So I think with that, we're going to try to go through some questions and see what we can knock off between the 4 of us that are here today and go from there. Lindsay, what do we have?
Let's do it. So again, our webinars are usually last about an hour. So we always try to wrap at the hour mark. So if you need to go, you're welcome to go. Otherwise, now's when we stay on and plow through a bunch of questions. And I'm going to share my screen and take on a couple that I saw. There was a question, something related to assigning practice. So here I am in a FlexBook 2.0 lesson, and I can assign this lesson to a CK-12 class or Google Classroom from here, from this assign button. And yes, what I am assigning to my students is this text and the practice. The practice is what is going to report as a score. So I can swap this out for a quiz, which is the subject of next week's webinar, if I wanted to create a quiz, but my practice is automatically attached in a 2.0 lesson. Over here, there's a question about insights. If I've assigned this to my class, which I know I already did assign this to my class, I can come over to insights and I can pick my class. I think that was for that winter class. We should have some information. I can see at a glance which of my students have completed this work. Okay, well, this is me. So here I spent 3 minutes and 17 seconds on the lesson, and I can see over to the left where I spent my time on this lesson. I can see that I'm proficient. And then this engagement score, one of the questions is can we tell what they're doing with the PLIX and the videos? We just launched a new engagement score, and that's happened since I did this adaptive practice, or since I did this lesson. So you're going to see even more information relating to the algorithm of how much time they really spend interacting with the text. But that's a little bit about insights there. Let's see, Katie, what do you think?
We had some questions about getting to the regular report. So maybe you could show that from a CK-12 class as well. If you're accessing that in Google Classroom or Canvas or Schoology, check out those sessions because it's a little bit different, but you access the general grades within those platforms.
And then how did you get into insights and individual students? I kind of just showed that. So again, from a CK-12 class, or if you're in Google Classroom, you click on the actual assignment that you would assign to students of what they would see. And then over in your toolbar, you go to the insights and you select the class that you assigned it to see their insights.
Okay, we have a question about practices that are used in multiple courses. So let's say exponential functions is covered in Algebra 2 and in pre-calculus. Is there a way to reset progress for future courses? So right now that option is not available. We have talked about options for a teacher to be able to reset that. We have plenty of questions in our system. So you could always say, while you've got a full amount, there's a timestamp on those reports and you can actually see when students did those practice questions. And so you could, as a teacher, require that they did another 10 questions in order to actually give them credit from that point. So that would be one way to address that particular piece.
All right, we've got some questions about how to access the recording of this webinar and how to register for future webinars. Again, I like the Explore menu here. Go to Webinars and you can see our offerings for next week's sessions on the customizing, and then the following week, that last week of July, for strategies. You can register here. And then if you're looking for additional information on additional topics, you can scroll down to our archived section and you will be seeing a new video for today's session uploaded within the next 24 hours to the platform here.
Great. We have a couple questions that kind of tie in together. One says, not all of the results are showing up in my class report. is there a way for students to submit that work? So what do they need to do in order for that report to actually show up?
There will be a turn in button that if it is assigned to a student, they're going to see a turn in button where it is not completed. You know how I showed you earlier that you could stop for now on your practicing? I could view practice, I could be doing my practice, I could stop for now. If I were signed in as a student, I would see the option up here at the top of my window saying, would you like to turn this in? And I have to elect turn it in, because otherwise we don't know if the student's just taking a dinner break and they're going to do some more practice. So that's kind of the main thing we see, is that if you're having trouble getting scores showing up in your learning management system, make sure that the students are submitting it.
Great. And then similarly, if someone completed something before it was assigned, let's say one of those related content modalities, they would need to do the same thing. So it's not going to show up as completed if you assign it after they do it. They would need to go back and go ahead and click turn in. If they've done that work, they may be able to turn it in right away. Otherwise, they might need to do a little bit more depending on what that particular piece is.
Reports. Again, the heat map that I've been showing you, I accessed it through my CK-12 classes through the reports, but for Google Classroom, you also have access to that exact same heat map. And for Schoology, it is coming. I think we're working on trying to get that ready for the school year. But again, it's reports, and the same heat map is what you're going to be able to access in those other learning management systems.
Great. So we have a question about the Certified Educator Program. There's a lot of great advantages to becoming certified. So one is you guys are already in a conversation with other teachers. You get to connect with users around the world. You can see our alumni tab right there. We will document your time spent for professional development if you want to use that towards any continuing education credits or PDPs or things like that. So all sorts of different options, and then just kind of learning about ed tech and CK-12 as we go from there.
Question, if I change something on display, does it change my book or the students' books? If the display is just your own settings, your own preference. So if you've changed it for your account, that isn't automatically changed for the student's account. The students would be doing their own display settings, their own highlights, their own annotations.
Great. We have had a couple different questions about Microsoft Teams. So Microsoft Teams is not currently integrated like Google Classroom and Canvas and Schoology. You can use Microsoft to log in directly. So that is one option as you go from there when you click sign in. So students don't need a separate account. They can just use their Teams account to log in. If we integrate with that down the future for reports, we will definitely let you all know at that point in time.
A question about, is there a way to tell how long a student spent on the site on an item like a quiz or an interactive? Like I said, we automatically give you how long a student spent on the adaptive practice, but that's where we're going with our insights. This new engagement score is going to give you more information about not just how the student spent the time on the actual lesson, and again, a histogram off to the side on where they spent it, but an algorithmic score on how they interacted with all of the varying pieces in there.
Great. We have two different questions about answer keys and teacher's editions and all the rest. So maybe you could pull up a math example of a FlexBook, one of our newer 2.0 FlexBooks, and a science one, so we can show you where those are. They're a little bit different. So in the math one, right here at the top under other versions, you have a teacher's edition that includes all the resources you might need for that. Those include scope and sequence, different pieces. There's even kind of at the very end an appendix with some other information, but go ahead and check out any of those. And then if we went back and we looked at a science one, the answer keys, they're working on teacher's editions, but the answer keys for those newer ones are in the first section of any chapter. So if I click on the nature of science and I click on the lesson, and then in the attached resources under that toolbar, you will see the answer key for that particular chapter. So you can see right here, that's all the answers for that entire chapter. So hopefully that gives you answers for any questions that are kind of included directly within the text. Answer keys for practice, as students do them, they will show up with the student answer and the correct answer in your report, so you don't even have to worry about it at that point in time.
Somebody made the comment that original FlexBooks had workbooks and teacher books and had quizzes. Our 2.0 offerings are a little bit different. We have streamlined the content. We've made them interactive. We've unified the interface here. For now, if you're interested in any of those older books, I could go to the Explore menu, go to FlexBooks, and I could search for some of those original FlexBooks, and I might see like a biology workbook, for instance. So there are other versions that you still can answer on our site.
We had a couple people ask if students can access this teacher version. Yes, we do have many students that learn independently across the world. This is not something that is hidden from them. Lesson plans within our new 2.0 lessons are for teacher accounts only, but we don't block those answer keys for students that are learning independently outside of kind of other situations. So if you are concerned about that, then we recommend that you use our adaptive practice, or customize that practice into a quiz, add your own questions, pick and choose the questions you want, because then they won't have access to any of that before they answer those particular questions.
Okay, is the middle school science platform as robust as high school? Yes. We have modalities across. You're going to have related PLIX, you're going to have Sims, you're going to have all of the resources that you're going to see in high school. And I think we just showed you where the FlexBook answer keys.
The teacher guide. So if you check on the teacher guide for a math one, you should be able to see answers within that. And let's go ahead. There's not actually the same kind of answer keys because a lot of those don't have kind of the same questions at the end that science would. So that's why it's a little bit different. But you can see learning objectives. You can see for the inline questions we put within that, and the purple text is kind of your own piece. You'll see different pieces within that in terms of what is there available. So I would just go through and look at it directly within the lesson itself. And then the teacher guide would have more information about the specific quiz at the end or things like that.
Whew. Katie, I think we've done it. I think we're going to call it a webinar. If there are any questions that we have not addressed, you can always email support@ck12.org and we will get back to you. But otherwise, thank you for joining today, and we hope to see you on a future webinar. Thanks so much.